All right, it's the top of the hour, so I guess we can start. Welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon to the next community relations group conversation. I'm David. I lead the community relations team. I'll be brief with the intro today. I guess everyone has got the link to the slides. I'll just go through a couple of highlights, and then what we'll do is if you have questions, as usual, add them to the document, vocalize them if you can, and if you want, we can also go in depth into any of the slides that we have in the presentation. So without further ado, let me just quickly share my screen. You can see where we are and who we are. In the team, we have a set of community managers who are responsible for particular areas of the community. When the highlight that I want to make here is that we're growing the team. Right now, we are in the process of opening 2 new vacancies for open source program manager and for the education program manager. Essentially to be able to further develop the strategy for our open source and education programs, which we already have ongoing. Another highlight for today is the code contributor program. That's Ray Pake's responsibility, and the credits to this work is to him. I just want to highlight some of the figures that we've been seeing growth, as in long-time growth from the past 3 years, both in terms of contributions, as in merge requests coming from the wider community, and in terms of contributors, as in individual contributors submitting code to GitLab. One of the things that we use one of the main metrics, one of our KPIs actually, is the contributors per milestone. These are merge requests which have been submitted by the wider community and that have been merged. We hit a record on 11.11 last release, and we are actually doing pretty well in terms of surpassing that goal for the 12.0 release. The key takeaway here is that we're on a growing trend. I think there's some things that we can do still, but yeah, I think that's a very positive takeaway. The other highlight today is perhaps the Heroes program. You'll find the link on the slides. It's something that John Coughlin is working on, and the idea here is to build a community of enthusiasts who can contribute to different areas of GitLab. We want to build a culture of leadership. We want to incentivize that as well. But if you're interested in the details, then feel free to ask, and John can expand on that. The final 2 highlights, I'll go into some OSS projects, open source projects, as part of our open source program. We've been working with KD, which we have been working with last few months, have committed to moving to GitLab, which is awesome. We have had good traction on the CNCF. Fluently is a project that has started migrating or adopting GitLab rather, and yeah, we'd like to thank Priyanka from the team, who has been actually driving this effort. So this wouldn't have been possible without her. As a result of that, we'll have some further CNCF projects to follow suit. And then we have some initial conversations with PostgreSQL, which are looking very good so far. Finally, just a team update, a good one, hopefully. As a heads up, I'll be on parental leave starting May-July. We're going to get our first son, and if you need anything, you should feel free to reach out to everyone in the team as usual. Nothing will change here. Everyone is leader in their own right and their own area of expertise. John would be the direct person if you need to discuss team-wide issues. He'll be acting as a team lead and point of contact while I'm away. And without this, I'll stop sharing my screen and we can just jump to questions. And thanks everyone for the congrats.
Yeah, I have the first question. So, well, it's not a question. It's awesome that we broke the 200 wider community contributions. And someone put in that the legend got cut. I don't understand what that means.
What was that, Sid? Sorry, I didn't get the last part.
Yeah, the chart shows like 11 after 11.9, instead of 11.10, 11.11 just shows 11.1. So I think there was a problem with the legend there. So yeah.
Okay, but it is 200 for 11.11, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
That's correct.
Awesome work. One of the ambitions is to bring the median reply time down. What kind of things are we looking at to do that?
For advocates.
Yeah. Right now, so in the slides I've shared that Twitter, Hacker News, and Discuss as web comments are important and most significant ones, and that's good right now. But we had some issues with Facebook. Since we have too many views, we removed Facebook from them, and we lost the track of it in all those tickets. And right now, Facebook broke our median for everything because that 9.5 is general for everything, and that's the reason why it went from 7. We're now looking at it, and hopefully until the end of this quarter it's going to be much better. But yeah, basically that's how it went down, actually up, which is worse than ever. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, another thing that we're looking at as well, or that we're looking at, is streamlining the actions that we take. Also, whenever we look at all of our views, and I should probably add some context. When we work with different social channels, we gather all that information into Zendesk, and we have different views, one for each social channel. We Quite often we have quite a lot of actions to follow up. For instance, someone from the community writes a cool blog post and we want to thank them for that. We might want to repost that on the blog, on our blog on GitLab. But for some of the channels, some of the process that we have might need improvement in terms of having a well-defined set of actions of what to do, as in which decision to take and which actions to take. So this will be also process improvements too.
Cool. Yeah, awesome to see metrics on the Swag store. That's very cool to see. It says we're not making a profit, which I think is fine. Are we like breaking even? I think we're like, our aim is to sell at cost and then not count overhead, or what is the kind of financial goal there that we're striving for?
Right now, we're still figuring that out. I've asked the finance, but actually I have to collaborate with other teams to make a goal. Right now, we're not breaking even. We are probably way below of profit, but there is an issue. We have some current issues with our vendor, and we cannot track all the cost, all the licenses, because some stuff are broken, and we're trying to figure out what's the best solution. For now, I will copy a link to the issue. Just a second, I will put it right there. We're still working on it, but yeah, no clear no clear statement what's going on right now, because we're definitely not making any signs of profit near there. So yeah, just a second, I will share the issue.
Yeah, I think
I will put it in the links in the comments so we can proceed with other questions.
Yeah, I think our goal should, in my opinion, our goal should be to sell it at 0 gross margin. So count the Stripe cost, the item cost, the shipping cost, any costs that get billed to us, and then we throw in like the coordination costs for free, because we think it's great if people walk around in our swag.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I put the links here. Sorry. It's here. Okay. Click the link.
Thanks for that. Brandy, you have the next question.
Yes. So I think my question was, and it sounds like, Ray, you looked at it. Do we see any kind of correlation between between our contributors and any other communities? And if so, that'd be really interesting, just an area that we could invest more in. So just some basic information there, I think, could be pretty interesting if we have it. Sounds like the answer is no, but any anecdotal information perhaps while we're getting more data?
No, I mean, anecdotally, I mean, I do see people that are, I mean, already like familiar with Ruby, for example, but I'm not 100% sure if they're necessarily, I mean, I think I ran into one or two that are also active in the Ruby community, but I think this is definitely worth looking into. I mean, I just had conversation with the company that have a lot of Go developers that were interested in areas where we can help. So I definitely, obviously don't have an answer to your question, but yeah, worth looking into. So.
Do we see anything else beyond? I chose languages, but do we see any other areas that come up?
I mean, most of them are obviously like users or paying or like non-paying customers, and I think I mentioned this at Contribute. A lot of them are just scratching their own itches, right? I mean, they have like something really quick they wanted to fix, but yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely something like worth looking into, which I haven't done yet. But yeah, thanks for the feedback.
Absolutely, awesome. Next is pass it to William. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
One last thing to add to what Ray is saying, and perhaps to address the part of the question, Brandon, when you mentioned other affiliation for affiliations other than language. One of the things that we would like to look at, we haven't done it much to be honest, is work more closely with the open source projects which are moving to GitLab to provide contributions. I mean, this has happened, they do provide contributions, but perhaps not to a level where we see significant growth. One of the things that we're discussing with KD right now, as we announce they're moving to GitLab on their own conference called Academy in September, is perhaps the possibility of doing a contributor workshop at their event, so that if they need anything, that if they need a particular feature, they can take it on their own hands.
Thank you. That's real helpful. I think I'm good. I'll pass it to William for next question.
Yeah, I'll just say the metrics on the slides look terrific. And one thing I didn't see was, but I've heard about, is the Advocate for a Day program. And so I had a couple of questions in here, but I was wondering if you could just kind of give an overview, what is it, how has it worked out so far? And maybe why would GitLab team members, what would be in it for them to join up, and how can they do so?
I'm happy to take the question, or does any advocate want to take it?
Yeah, I can try to answer this one. So our job basically is to find questions online and then just send them to some of our experts, and then because they will be in the best position to answer. But then when some news is trending, or when we release something new, something big, or something is trending on Hacker News, we have a lot of mentions, a lot of technical questions. And then it becomes hard for us to timely find the right people and then involve them in the discussion. And then we can use help from more GitLabbers. And then we kind of ask if someone is willing to join us and help us find the right experts timely, and then answer timely, or just answer on the story on Hacker News or whatever. So this is not something that we need all the time, but we need it when we see like increase in traffic on some social media, something like that. I'm not sure if that answers, or if you have.
Yeah, maybe I have a good example. If you remember a year ago, when moving to GitLab was a thing, and when it was trending, we needed a lot of help to cover all those Twitter mentions and moving to GitLab tweets. So we involved everybody from the company to help us with tweeting and retweeting and responding. So that was like one part of community advocacy for a day, and we made some shifts and training, so everything went perfectly fine.
And perhaps for the benefit of the members who weren't on the marketing call, marketing strategy call yesterday, this was also brought up as in the context of that we're adding it on the onboarding issue for marketing. And I mean, if we want to keep it there, one of the things that we need to do is to make sure that the process for joining is clear and the goals as well. So that was good timing, William.
Yeah, that's great. I think Francis has the next one.
Yeah, hi, Francis Potter, Solution Architect. I love the work you guys are doing, and this is a great overview. It's really insightful. And I get super excited about developers contributing to GitLab, but I would get equally excited, well, not equally, but I would also get excited about GitLab employees contributing to open source projects, especially the ones that we rely on and use for our product. So I'm wondering if there's any kind of program or even just like recognition of when that happens, because I'm pretty sure it's happening, but I don't see anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, oh, sorry, I was trying to make sure I wasn't not on mute. Yeah, I typed the answer. I mean, tried to type an answer. I do know of people like anecdotally that are contributing to other communities, but I'm not sure if there's like a formal, like a recognition or arrangement for their work. Because I know in some companies, like, you know, with agreement with your management, you can dedicate like X percentage of your time working with like Kubernetes or other communities. But if people know of like such arrangements with GitLab team members, that would be good to know. But I've only heard things like anecdotally that people are making contributions like to Grafana or others. But
yeah, I think in general we should be a bit cautious about focusing too much on that. We're contributing to open source, and it's called GitLab, and that's what the bulk of our effort should be. And then every time we fix something, because we encounter a bug, we should upstream it, and it's great if we do. And I think people like Stan are getting call outs, and then when we contribute to Git and many other projects, we encounter bugs in. But I've seen, if you look, for example, what's happening in monitoring, we spent a lot of time, 9 months, building our own Prometheus metrics controller, but now Grafana has adopted another one. So all that effort for Ruby, so all that effort was wasted. And we didn't make our own metrics good enough. And our own metrics are now to the point where we have to use Grafana instead of our own metrics solution to self-monitor GitLab, which is not where we want to be. So there is a point of caution, like you can spend every hour only one way. In general, we should just make sure that we put as much as we can in the core of GitLab. And that is our major contribution. And then the other thing is, anytime we fix a bug or we find something, of course, it's a no-brainer to upstream that. But like 20% time to contribute to open source, we're already strained to like contribute to GitLab, and it's very, very, we shouldn't go hobbying around because it leads to not even able to use our own product, which is not, we don't want to be, right now we have to use Grafana instead of our own product. Like that's not where we want to be.
Yeah, good point. Thanks, Sid.
Dan, I think you're next. Do you want to voice your question?
Yeah, I wanted to get people's thoughts around allocating internal team members towards supporting community contributions. Had a few come through that like documentation changes and sort of validating that effort. And I'm just sort of curious about what that flow is and how we think about those people's time being put towards sort of validating those contributions.
yeah, I mean, I guess I'll take this question too. I think in general, I mean, a lot of our reviewers and maintainers have been fantastic reviewing our wider community contribution. I think I mentioned this too, like the median time to merge is like about like 5 days, which I think is great. I mean, I've seen other communities where that doesn't happen. And we also have like merge request coaches. We have some more details on slide 9, I believe. Wanted to highlight those people as well. I mean, these 8 people have been doing great job, like specifically helping me, like identify the right reviewers, or even jumping on and helping the community members. So we do have those group of people that have been providing support for community members, and we would obviously like to have more people kind of volunteer and become coaches to community members. And it just updated the handbook page as well for on MR coaches. Let me know if there are any other questions.
Thank you, Ray.
Yeah, thanks. I think Jason, you're up next. Thanks,
Jason. Yeah, so hi everyone. I just wanted to pose a question. As GitLabbers, we're often approached when it comes to events, small and big, in communities which are not US located. In my case, specifically Germany. Many of these asks are usually quite concrete. We want to know if it's possible for GitLab to sponsor our event, but sometimes it's less so, like more in the direction that someone that has an audience thinks that they could profit from GitLab being there, and in turn, the person they're reaching out to inside of GitLab thinks, okay, there are many developers there, or students, or whatever, people who might be interested in GitLab and might be useful for like creating awareness about the brand and engagement with the community and stuff like that. How is what's the suggested process for turning those very kind of not concrete asks into actual engagements, or how should they be forwarded, or who should they be forwarded to? I mean, to the public relations team, or to the community engagement, to the community development, or like what is your opinion on that? Like, what's the best point of contact and the best funnel for that?
Yeah, great question. We have in the handbook an events decision tree that kind of outlines how we can best direct those requests. So this is linked to from the Evangelist Program Handbook page, and it kind of has a step-by-step tree that allows you to see where you should route those to, whether it's to field marketing, corporate marketing, community relations, the diversity sponsorships program, or people ops. So that's a great place to start. And then there's also detail in there around how we assess the events. So we try and be as transparent as possible. And that way, when we are fielding those requests, people know both where to direct them. And then when we're speaking with the event organizers, particularly when they're asking for sponsorship, we can have a clear reason why or why not we're making the decision to invest in those events. So that's the process right now. Excuse me. And of course, if anyone has any kind of feedback that they'd like to, share around that process or improvements that they think we can make, we're always open to hearing that.
Sid, was there anything you wanted to comment on your point, or just?
Yeah, it's just a comment, but I love the merge request coach process. It's, first of all, it's documented. Second of all, it's self-serve. Third of all, it uses GitLab merge request. And the fourth thing, it uses a single source of truth. Like, it should be documented on the team page anyway. So instead of making a separate list, that is the single source of truth. So great work there. William has the next question.
Yeah, just John, the Evangelist program looks very exciting. I wondered if you wanted to share a few of the slides in the deck about that, or just tell us about what's going on with the Evangelist program.
Sorry, sure, I'm happy to do that. Wait a minute. There you go. So, so I joined about 6 months ago, and we've been working a lot with spinning up our meetup communities globally. There's some photos in the deck from some of the recent events that we've had going on. We've done events, in Nigeria and across Europe and North America and South America, And we're going to be doing our second event since I joined in Australia this month. So we're covering basically all the continents at this point, and all of our regions. The Heroes program is something that we're just starting to get to work on. And after the Shadow program, I think I'll have a lot more time to invest in getting that going. And that program is going to be a way for us to really better recognize and support our top kind of community contributors. So the people that are organizing our meetups, or the people that are contributing every release, people that are giving talks about meetups, or talks at meetups, contributing to our blog. And so I think, part of that, is to recognize the folks that are contributing, whether it's to the, open source project or in other ways to GitLab. I think part of that is also creating an aspiration so that people that, have been considering, getting involved can kind of have something to aspire to, and creates this kind of, incentive for people to, to do a little bit more. And so we're hoping that that's going to produce some great results for us in the coming months. And the goal for that is to announce it at OSCON in July. And, it's going to be a great effort from a lot of people across marketing who will be helping me achieve that goal. So thanks in advance to all of you. You've been tagged on the relevant issues already, so you know who you are.
Awesome. I think with this, we're out of time. So, and we're out of questions actually, so good timing. So thanks everyone for the great conversation. You'll see at the end of the slides where to find us. Feel free to ping us if we can help with anything. And then, yeah, have a nice rest of the day. Bye-bye.